now we're going to have someone speak, and they're going to talk about the war. War must be healed, and we do this in a big part by dealing with the war in our mind and our emotions. And our Reverend Douglas Craig is going to speak about war is a disease. Welcome, Reverend Doug.
Okay, how's everybody this morning? You know, war is a disease, and the theme here for May is the sacred web of life. And we acknowledge our responsibility to care for one another and the environment, finding unity and purpose within the diversity of creation. Well, that's interesting. I need two volunteers, Vera and Donna. Donna, come on up here, Vera. You're volunteering now. What we're going to do here, oh heavens, it's easier than that. Hold on to this. Okay, and hold on to this. Now, ladies, would you pass amongst the audience there? I want everybody to have a close-up of these eggs and have a look at them, okay? Yeah, aren't they nice? Just have a quick look at the eggs there. Now, you notice that there's two eggs. There's a brown and a white. Now, I could have found one that was kind of in between the two, but I think that's good enough. Now, how many people here, when you buy eggs, have a preference? Okay? How many people don't really care? Okay. How many people that don't care like large, medium, small, don't care? Okay, well, this is a tough group. How many people are brown only? We'll take white if necessary and need eggs. How many are white only? No whites. Ooh, that could be dangerous in a crowd like this. No white ones? Okay, but you know, there are people that like white only in that. So now, did anybody notice any difference in those eggs? You know, when you look at them, it's just the outside is brown and white. So some people have no judgment. Some like big, small. Some like brown, white. And what's the difference? And you see, we all have a judgment on that. Like, what the hell's he wasting my time talking about this stuff for? You know, we're all thinking something about what I'm talking about, and I'll bet that there's, wonder where he's going with this, and oh my God. And there's all kinds of different thoughts going through your mind. And everybody's different. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is we got to come up over here again with the experiment. Yeah, get out of here, hard-boiled. We're doing the real thing here. Oh, this is going to be a good one. No, this is part of it, not yet. Okay. Just quiet. You're just taking them around, showing them. You're not doing anything else. Okay. Now, what do you notice there? Do you notice any difference in those eggs in the inside? What's the difference? There is a slight difference in the color, but it's all yolk, eh? Now, the question here is, you notice one yolk's darker and the other's lighter. So, which one come from the brown shell? The darker one or the lighter one? Yeah, well, all you darker people are wrong. The white egg produced the darker yolk, and the dark egg produced the whiter yolk. Really? Ask him now, you can talk. Woof, woof. Thanks, ladies. Yeah, and I got this, and I'm going to take them home and scramble them.
Oh, I thought you were making that for us.
Well, I could. You could just leave it there, yeah. Yes? Well, you see, it all depends, and that's just like looking at you. Well, you're white on the outside. What are you on the inside? And do you have more or less of this than the other person that's like that? So the bottom line is we could analyze it to death. We could get into the paralysis of analysis, and we could be right that there is definitely a difference, slightly. But even in our perception and judgment of the difference, most of us were wrong. So, the point being, all we're talking about is a couple of damn eggs. Have a look around the room. Do you see anybody here that's exactly like anybody else? On the outside? $1 to a donut, we all look the same inside, unless for we got a little more clutter of our negative sewage in there that we need to release. But basically, we're all the same on the inside, right? You know, I live in this really unique neighborhood where the people that rent the place right behind me are a Mexican couple. Got the cute little girl, 10 years old. My neighbors next door are Vietnamese, and they got 2 wonderful kids. Neighbors next to them are Chinese. They're great, great people. And the people across the street, the 2 different groups, are East Indian. And you know what? You could look at that. You could tell they're different, but they're all great people, friendly, nice. We love the kids. We go to Santa, goes to see him every Christmas, and they got gifts for Santa more than what Santa brings, but it's not about that. They clean the old guy's sidewalks for him and stuff like that. So, you see, we got to quit looking at people and separating them because of this, that, and the other thing. The way that we begin to solve this idea of the disease of war is start to look at each other and realize we all got the same basic resources. We all got the same basic thing. I don't care what you believe or where you are, the one common bond we got, it's called life. There's no difference in life inside. You take that away, there's no difference in the outside of being dead. Oh, all the other differences are still there, but being dead is all the same. You might not notice that yourself, but being alive, you probably would. The being dead, you got to watch other people. You can't participate. Okay? So, Ernest Holmes said, I now acknowledge God, the divine spirit, as a living presence in everything and in everyone. I bless everyone I meet. I praise everything I do. I acknowledge God's abundance, the outpouring of the Spirit, and the manifestation of life everywhere. I bless my family. I praise my friends. I rejoice in the activities of my life. I know that love does not condemn, and life does not destroy. I sincerely desire that every thought of my mind and every impulse of my whole being will be constructive and life-giving, and will radiate that which I now believe and accept to be at the center of my being. The light that lights every individual's pathway. I bless the small things in my life, that they may multiply and become great. I bless everything that seems little, that it will increase. I bless that which is good, and I desire that which is good alone. And that which is good alone will reach down to me, meet me, and meet the need in everyone in love and in joy and with thanksgiving. So that's the attitude of gratitude, and that's what you want to see in the world, and the world reflects that back to you. And one of the harshest things that I have to ever say to people is when they say, well, I don't like what life is giving me, and I don't like what's happening in my life. Then it's really simple. If you don't like what you're getting, you gotta look at what you're giving. Well, I don't do that to anybody. Yeah, you don't have to do it. You could just be thinking about it and feeling it. That's the same thing. Oh, I didn't know that. Yes, it does. Giving and receiving is a cyclical thing. You could look at the same thing out there if you're in that other flow and see the same thing out there totally differently than when you're in this flow. And if you're in this flow, that's the negative one. That's the sewer because it flows, remember that, and the river. If you do that, you could get your master's and your PhD piled higher and deeper if you keep your mind focused in all of that. If we change it, then we begin to open up the doors of possibility. So war is about power and control, or it's about survival. All depends on how you look at it. Generally speaking, when we look at it in the world of the human, the war is really simply one thing. It's all power and control. Case closed. You could put all the other stuff you want. It's basically power and control. There's no need for war unless there's power and control. Well, if somebody's trying to do that to me, I got a right to defend myself. Right, but that's still war. And nobody wins in war. You know how come I know that? I'm not just talking about what I read. I'm talking about what I experienced. Not war, but the effects of war and winning. In my small town hamlet of Exshaw, under 700 people, there were two groups of people. There were those that were there and just regular people, and they were veterans or people that had been outcast by severe experiences in the war that were in the town. And yeah, it was just a normal, nice little town, but the stuff that those people carried around inside them, right, Vera? Yeah, Vera and I both know this. We're from the same turf. The stuff that those people, men and women, carried inside of them for what they went through was not nice, and it caused them to do a lot of not nice things and to say not a nice things. And it wasn't because they weren't nice men or nice women. It's because of the horror of what they went through in war. So, yeah, we won, but no, we didn't. Clear? Don't matter. Nobody wins in war, and they'll never be solved unless we get over power and control. Necessary part of war is in the body. When the body has infectious diseases introduced to it, the body goes at war. Don't think that's a war? You darn right it's a war. And at times it's life or death. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Okay? So there's war always going on inside of the body. And we can facilitate that by keeping the war away from us the best that we can by cleaning our inner house of false beliefs and ideas about ourselves and the world around us. If we purge and purify and get rid of that, then we have less war inside our body. We still have to have that defensive mechanism. George Bernard Shaw said that God has given us a world, but nothing but our own folly keeps from being a paradise. And you know, the other thing we got to do is look at this bacterial and body war. People don't understand, or maybe don't get the bigger picture. Did you know that Mother Earth was a body? A physical body in this physical world. And it has all the things that make it go, make it grow, everything like that. If you introduce disease into that, what do you think what Mother Earth is going to do? Do you think it'll rebel and fight back? Do you think that there is a disease being loosed on our planet right now? Yeah, it's a two-legged one, and most of it's through war. Hate to say it, folks. It's true. Not much we could do about it except for knowing that the only war we all fight is the war within ourselves. And the war that we fight on a day-to-day basis is dealing with our inner world of mind and emotion. Anybody ever at conflict and at war with themselves? Do this. No, don't do that. Do that. You know what I mean? Anybody like that? Yeah, we all are like that. So is it a war? Oh, I'm not like that. It's not that violent. It doesn't matter whether it's nice or not nice. It's still war. We get at each other, or we get at ourselves like that. Ernest Holmes said something real interesting. If a man takes the images of thought from his only previous experiences, then he continues in the bondage which those previous experiences create. So if you keep focusing in on the problem, you get more of the problem. Has anybody ever focused on the problem and it got worse? I remember when I burned out, I made a challenge. I dared God. When things kept going, I thought, well, it can't get any worse. Don't ever say that. Then something got worse. I couldn't believe it. Well, it can't get worse than that. After 3 times, I quit saying that because I got proved wrong. Yeah, don't want to do that. You continue in the bondage of the past if you keep thinking about it that way. That dirty dog, he or she did that to me, and now all I attract is dirty dogs to do that to me, and I wonder why. If we talk about discord, then we shall become more discordant. If the world arms for war, the more certain it is that there will be war. Man, you want to talk about the arming for war, just have a look at this stuff that's going on now with these frickin' missiles and the ones that they don't know everybody's got. And do you know how many $1 trillion worth of defense money has been sent contracting defense contractors to build up more bombs and guns ever since this happened? Well, I don't want to get into that, but I'm just saying, the more the world arms for war, the more certain it is that will be war. People who spend their time talking about their unhappiness become more unhappy. Have you ever seen a really unhappy person? The more they talk about it. And you know, the one thing about being unhappy about something, if you tell it enough, about the 10th or 11th time, you can make it worse than it was when it really happened, because you could really get into it. Anybody ever do that or see that done? Well, it's interesting. Jesus understood those great laws of cause and effect in the universe, which work sometimes with apparent slowness, but always with sureness. Eventually, we shall understand that all human bondage is simply an invention of ignorance. We're just ignorant of our own self, just the way it is. So, the only war we fight is a war within ourselves. And that's always a war. Bottom line, it's real simple. It's a war between faith and fear. And every minute of every day, we're either on the side of faith or fear. And fear is worrying, doubting, criticizing, condemning, judging. You know all those things. And faith is just trusting and going along and believing in yourself and watching for the guidance of Spirit. I always said, fear knocked at the door. Faith answered. There was no one there. Eric Butterworth, one of my most favorite quotes on page 76 of Spiritual Economics, the second best book I've ever read out of 600 or 700. If you carefully search within yourself, you may come to the awareness that your most important asset is the conscious control of your own life. Nothing else can satisfy or fulfill unless you enjoy the freedom that comes from the control of your inner world of mind and emotions. Okay? Now, here's where you get the meat today, folks. Santa's solution for world peace. Are you ready? Because Santa gets asked this every year a few times by some children, that all they want is world peace. And you know what Santa says? Is your brothers and sisters here? Get them over here. Mom and dad, grandparents, get them over here. Get your family over here. And we'll say Shirley, folks, Shirley wants world peace. Are you committed to helping her with that? And Shirley, are you committed to it? Because Santa's going to tell you how to do it. Listen closely, folks, because it works. Okay? I've proved it to myself. It works. What Santa says is daily practice with inside yourself and support each other in the family to develop that peace inside. Reduce the worrying, the negativity, and everything, and develop that sense of inner peace and support each other. And it's like a disease, eh? You know how when some diseases get there and it just spreads? Peace spreads the same way. You get your family doing that, and everybody will be wondering what you're doing. You don't talk about the war, you're talking about solution. You're talking about peace. Not only are you talking about it, you're demonstrating it by being more peaceful. You have less conflict in your life. I come from a world of conflict and violence. I have very little conflict now. I have very little peace because I found it within inside myself. And so it reflects around me and draws those kind of people to me. I don't need jerks and idiots anymore. I'm not a jerk and an idiot anymore. Well, some people might think there's a few. And we do have those little slips, but you know what I mean, eh? Okay? And that's where it is. That's the only place you could get it. Just like when everybody was going and Jesus was telling them, seek the kingdom of God. Well, you know, they get the organized and the search parties going looking for the kingdom. Can't be here, it's got to be in some foreign country. Then the next things he tells disciples, go forth and tell them that the kingdom is at hand. That must mean it's locally here, we just missed it. You know how people are, so they're going to look everywhere to try and find it, eh? And then the local Pharisees were bugging them and jibing them and poking at them. Hey, where's his kingdom? Nobody can find it. To be real clear, what Jesus said then is 100% relevant today. And what he said, hey, you won't find it low there or low here. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. I don't know what the New Bible said. I go King James, the old version, the least translated. That's where I get my Bible stuff of what Jesus said. And that was a pretty good saying, eh? The kingdom is in here. If you want peace, you have to find it in here. You can't have anything out there unless you have it in here, because this is a reflection out there of what's in here. It's the mirror image. Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes that tool of thought, shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. The environment is but his looking glass. And so it is. Whee! I got to remember to take my eggs.